Hey Cancers, welcome to February 2019. I hope you guys are doing well. So I'm going to get right into this reading. The card that popped out is the Home and Family card, the Four of Wands. Okay, now we have even more cards coming out, and that is new thoughts, a new thought process when it comes to the patience that you have. Okay, so this reading is about your marriage, your common law marriage. If you're too young to be married, well, I guess there's really, well, if you're too young for this reading when it comes to marriage or common law relationships, what this reading could be is for your ideas of marriage, the ideas that you're forming because of your parents' marriage or your grandparents' marriage. So that's what this reading is about. It's about your marriage, your home life, common law relationships, other people's marriages within your circle, within your family circle. So how their marriages are affecting your life or how their relationships are affecting your life, and your ideas that have been implanted into you as from childhood and probably even from past lives. And new thoughts, a new thought process when it comes to your patience, when it comes to your moderation, and how that relates to your marriage or the marriage of the people close to you. So let's see if there's any more cards that pop out for Cancers for February 2019. Let's see. Okay. Looking good, feeling good. Okay, let's do this. Cancer, thank you. February 2019. Okay. So what your February 2019 is calling you to pay attention to, Cancers, is your intuition, okay? So your intuition is on point this month. Don't allow anybody, don't allow self-doubt, don't allow yourself to say that your gut instincts, your gut feelings are not right, because you're just going to kick yourself in March when you're like, I knew it in my heart and I didn't answer my own calling. I didn't listen to myself. And now I'm kicking myself for it. So this month, February 2019, your intuition is crazy on point, crazy intuitive. And it's really calling, your life is really calling for you to start listening to your intuition. Cancers are the most intuitive besides Pisces and Scorpio. Cancers has a different type of intuition. Their intuition is more in the nurturing sense, whereas Pisces has the intuition of kind of a worldly, a very vast intuition. Then Scorpio has intuition, but it's more the intense side, the more intensity where your intuition is needed. But for the Cancers, their intuition is more on the nurturing side. So when it comes to this marriage, when it comes to this common law relationship, whether that be yours or somebody within your family structure, and your ideas that are now forming this new frame of mind that is forming when it comes to your patience, is based on your intuitive nature saying, listen, Cancer, when it comes to this marriage, you need to have new thoughts over what you're not going to say. You have to have new thoughts over what you're going to just let happen. You have to have new thoughts about you just saying, well, it's not that bad. I'm not going to initiate anything. I'm not going to go forward. And as a cardinal sign, aka a leading sign, Cancers really do need to be that pioneering energy. They really do need to initiate things, but it has to be based on their own intuitive pulls and pushes, okay? So right now your cardinal sign is asking you to speak your truth, to set up those boundaries and to say, listen, I'm changing my mind about a certain situation. I'm changing my mind about whether or not I want to move forward, about whether or not I'm going to just kind of let things lay low here and not do anything. Changing your mind because intuitively you've uncovered something this month, okay? So the obstacle in the A to your intuition is that you've been sleeping on it a bit. You've been resting at home. You've been kind of really in isolation mode. You've been doing, actually, it's this amazing analogy that for me has summed up Cancers. And I think I shared this with you guys before. But when you think about the crab, right? And that's your representation. You think about the Cancer crab. A crab will stay in its shell unless the shell, it'll grow, right? The crab grows and the shell stays the same size. And it's only until that crab is going to be suffocated by the shell that it will then leave its shell in order to find something else. So a Cancer really needs to kind of be under tight scrutiny and tight pressure before they're like, okay, you know what? I'm suffocating. I will move on now. It has to be your idea and it has to be based on your ability to move. You can't be moved. So your rest and you being in your shell for so long, it's now suffocating you. It's now suffocating you, and you intuitively in your heart know that you need to move on to the next shell or move on to the next venture. But because you've been so comfortable in your home space and in your isolation, that's going to hinder your ability to move forward, okay? Subconsciously, you want to have some fun. Subconsciously, you're like, screw this. You know, as much as you love being in your home element, and I don't know if it's just you guys, but lately, especially for me, I've been feeling high anxiety when it comes to just going out into society. So for me, my home has been really my shell, right? And now it's getting to a point where I'm bored and I want to have more fun. But then I start thinking about, okay, well, what about the dangers of the world? What about, you know, what about this? What about that? And I completely disconnect myself from the idea of having fun because of all the worries that comes along with it, where it's like, screw it. It's not even worth it. Okay, but realistically, we need to have fun. That's the whole point of life, right? Life is here to be lived and enjoyed, and you know, sharing love and sharing happiness and sharing joy and following your bliss with other people. Although it may be blissful to be at home in your comfort shell, in order to grow, you have to move, right? So subconsciously, you want to have fun, but then the worries start peaking up, right? The worries start saying, be careful. And then you're also thinking that maybe you should just be focused on work right now, you know, and empowering yourself in that aspect. People are viewing you like this month, Cancer, heartbroken. Like I mentioned in the last month's reading, Cancers will feel an injury, especially an emotional injury, and it's hard for them to move on because they always get pulled back to that feeling, right? So as opposed to an air sign where if somebody insults them, they can slough it off, and especially like a fire sign, they're like, okay, screw you, whatever. But a Cancer, they feel that pain from that insult or that criticism or that scenario or that situation or that action based on somebody else. They feel it. So it's so much harder for them to move on because they're not releasing an idea or a thought or, you know, whatever, it's what they said. They're trying to release a pain, that emotion, and that's so much harder to release. So this is how your family and friends are viewing you. They still see you as heartbroken. There was something in your past, and not necessarily in your past, and that's probably why your marriage is being highlighted this month. What I've come to realize with a lot of our relationships and with a lot of our ideas when it comes to marriage is that it's coming from a karmic debt from our grandparents, from our great-grandparents. You know, it's something that was passed along, especially if you're female. It was passed along from mother, generation to generation, and we've just grown up to accept it as truth, as, you know, as just the way things are. Now is the time, Cancer, to realize that if you don't want to be viewed as this victim, as this, you know, poor, brokenhearted, frail, incapable, broken person, you need to step into your power. You know, I was just talking to my husband about 2 moon in Cancers that I know. And one of the common things that, and he's a Scorpio, so he's very intuitive. One of the common things we realize is both the moon and Cancers that we know have created their own blockers. They've created their own limitations by either, you know, spending addictions or being in a relationship with somebody who doesn't have a job, or being overly competitive based on fire sun sign. So all the moon and Cancers we know have put their own blockers. And what my husband said was, even if they removed those blockers and they received all this abundance, it wouldn't change their lives because they have a simplistic nature to them, which is just so rare, right? So even if a Cancer were to achieve this amount of abundance, it still wouldn't affect them in the way that it would affect, you know, an egotistical Leo. You know, think of a Leo getting a huge promotion, like they'd be waving their paycheck in your face. A Cancer stepping into their power would still remain that powerful Cancer, would still remain that person to be looked up to be nurturing. It wouldn't affect them in a way that it would affect other people. So that's why it can be so frustrating for people looking in on this Cancer energy, being like, well, why don't you just step up to it? Why don't you step toward it? Because it's not gonna drastically change who you are as a person. You're just gonna have less worries, less things to, you know, hold you back, less things to criticize or to complain about or to feel disempowered by. You know, so stepping into your power is really as simple as that, Cancer. You know, thinking at every second of the day, every situation, does this empower me or does this disempower me? Does buying this chocolate make me feel empowered, or does it make me feel, unhealthy and horrible? And stepping into that, only going toward the direction that makes you feel powerful, especially with your words. A lot of the times we'll say things off the jump, right? And we'll say it without even thinking. We're like, well, that wasn't very nice, and I have to come back from that now. Really, I'm really willing to make a comment like that and not, and not see it through. So really, like, Cancer, if you find that you're saying things that are not empowering you as a way of kind of hurting somebody else, or a way of just trying to feel something, it is time this month to really take a look at your intuition, really take a look at your heartbreak, and be like, where am I going with it? What do I want to accomplish out of this, right? Because this is how people are viewing you. People are viewing you as very, very heartbroken. So it's time, unless you want to stay like this, unless you want to be viewed like that, and how people view you really creates how they treat you, right? So stepping into your power and saying, listen, I'm not some sensitive, broken Cancer. I'm somebody who can grow. I'm somebody who can make changes. I'm somebody who's worked very hard and who's accomplished a lot, and I deserve more. I deserve more authority. I deserve more empowerment, especially when it comes to my family, because I am the friggin' glue that holds this family together, and everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. But subconsciously, you're like, I just want to let loose. I just want to have fun. I don't want to be seen like this anymore, because when people see me like this, that's all they expect from me. And why would anybody go over exceed expectations that are placed on them by somebody else? That's why I always try to look at the people I care about in the best light, so that they can rise to that. And guess what? When I look at people in the best light, they show me their best light. They 100% show me their best light. So people are like, don't you hate this person? I'm like, actually, no, that person is amazing to me. But she did this. Yeah. Well, listen to all this other amazing stuff she's done. Maybe because you're expecting her to be the absolute worst. That's exactly how she's going to treat you. Right. And vice versa. Okay. Family and friends. There is a fire sign here. Leo, Sag, or Aries. This person was in your reading last month as well. This person's in your family and friends. And their influence, their inspiration when it comes to their abundance is what is needed, because you intuitively know something about this person. You've combed through the details. You've really come to understand this person in a completely different way, and what they've built for themselves and how they've built it. Like, I'm seeing pyramids. You know what I mean? When I think about pyramids, think about it. You're like, okay, that's incredible what they've built, but it was built on, the back of slaves. You know what I mean? Something like that, where you're like, intuitively, you're like, they've accomplished a lot, and that's inspiring, and they work hard, and you see that, and they're very sly, and they're very clever, but you also are like, okay, but how did you get there? And you have to see if the end justifies the means, and if you want to take their justification of the means and use it and apply it to your life, or if you feel like, that's going to disempower me. So this fire sign, you need to take their example. You need to take their leadership, because fire signs are very much so leaders. Doesn't matter which fire sign it is. They're very quick to blast off. Taking their inspiration when it comes to movement, but making sure that you line up with their means, right? With how they got to where they're going. Make sure it lines up with who you want to be as a person, and how you want to be seen and revered as. And with that understanding, with that energy, you can make your decisions that is inspired by them, but isn't a carbon copy of their path. Okay, so somebody within your family and friends, fire energy. Hope and fear, Cancer, is sacrifice. Okay, sacrifice is your hope and fear. So when we look at this reading as a whole reading, what I'm seeing is that this month, February, although subconsciously you just want to have fun, you're recognizing that fun can equal trouble a lot of the times. So what you've been doing is just really pulling back and being in rest mode and being kind of in lone mode. And that's based on an intuitive thought that you're getting. And this intuitive thought absolutely stems from pain in the past. It absolutely stems from disempowerment within your home and family. It absolutely stems from your relationship with this fire sign. It absolutely stems from a marriage that has influenced you, because Cancers are all about home and family. So marriage is incredibly important to them. Almost more so important to them than a Libra. I personally think, you know, my mother-in-law is a moon in Cancer, and she thinks her biggest failure is divorce. But her Gemini, Leo rising ex-husband doesn't find that as the biggest failure in his life. But she's like, I'm a failure because I got divorced. I'm like, are you crazy? I'm like, because you decided to step into your power and realize that you're not going to take that abuse and mistreatment and you walked away from it, you think that you're a failure? Girl, you are so much more than that. Like, you can't just sum up your entire existence, your entire life as a failure because of a divorce. Come on, you got away. You know, good for you. Anyway, so sacrifice has always been a hope and a fear for the Cancers because they do sacrifice so much, and a lot of the times it's not seen how they would appreciate it to be seen. Let me think of an example of how my moon in Cancer mother-in-law just sacrifices, and nobody sees it as sacrifice. Nobody sees it as sacrifice. They almost see it as attention seeking. It's like, well, you've opened up so much to me. You're the glue that kept this family together. You sacrificed a lot of your happiness. For instance, my mother-in-law, who's moon in Cancer, she has been married once and never had any boyfriends since she got divorced 25 years ago. And that is because of her 4 boys. She never wanted to bring another man into her four boys' lives. So she sacrificed her relationship and her love life for her boys, but now the boys are like, well, Mom, we feel responsible for you because you don't have anybody. Like, and it's like, really, kids? Like, so that hope and fear is that you make sacrifices, but then you fear the sacrifices you make because you're afraid of how they're going to be received. And you feel like maybe they're not going to be received in the best light because of the past. Because in a past life, or in the past in this lifetime, you did make a sacrifice. You sacrificed love. You sacrificed your heart. You sacrificed your power for somebody else, and it wasn't received the way that you expected it to. So now you still have that sacrificing nature that is natural to you as a Cancer. But you still have, of course, that fear that if you were to make those sacrifices, you're going to be criticized for it. So you're going to keep thinking about how hard you've worked, and maybe even take a second to take a step back and be like, I've worked so hard that I have so much to be proud of. This will empower you, okay? This will empower you. Focusing on the fact that you've worked so hard, you've accomplished quite a bit, quite a bit. Wealth is health, in my opinion. Wealth is health, mental health, spiritual health, emotional health. That is success to me. That is definitely success for a lot of Cancers, having a happy home and family. And, that's their level of success. A lot of times work is just that means to the end, which is just your family taken care of and having that beautiful home that you can open your doors to everybody and treat everybody like family, and be that nurturing person that you are. So the hard work that you have accomplished so far, Cancer, you are going to really realize and take a step back this month. That intuitively, that you've accomplished a lot. This is going to really empower you. You're going to feel great. You're going to feel really great. And with that empowerment comes in this young water sign, okay? Young water sign, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. They come in and they help you with your new ideas when it comes to the patience, when it comes to the moderation, when it comes to not pushing anything. So in your heart of hearts, you know that it's time to have some more fun. In your heart of hearts, you know it's time to let go of this pain. In your heart of hearts, you know that it's time to move forward. But the first step, of course, Cancer, for February 2019, is just to kind of reflect on how much you've accomplished so far and how far your intuition has got you and how much your intuition has blessed you in your life. And with that acknowledgement, you're going to start to feel a whole lot better come March, which is great. And then February, you see this water sign entering in a very, very positive way, because the water sign now sees that you've gained empowerment, and now they're coming in. Now they're coming in to be like, okay, you're empowered. I love an empowered Cancer. When Cancer is completely evolved and in their element, this water sign is going to be naturally drawn to you because you guys are both water energy. And sure enough, it's going to be great. So I'm looking forward to hearing about your guys' February 2019. Leave it in the comments. Like, let's hear what's going on with you guys. If you need more information, if you want to go deeper into this reading, please send me an email at beyondyoursunsign@gmail.com, and we'll use astrology, numerology, and your personal energy to figure out what's going on. What else do I have to share with you guys? New channel is up, doing really well, loving it. Yeah, let's Love you guys, and I will talk to you in March. Bye, Cancers.